Running a business is already a full-time endeavor, but then on top of that, you have to make content all the time. So today we're talking about how to actually make time to create videos. Let's get right into it. If you're new here, my name is Liz. I help coaches and consultants add video to their business. Be sure to subscribe so that you never miss any of my future content. Now, I could talk about this issue of time forever and ever and ever because it sits at the crux of every single thing that we do. It also sits at the crux of everything that we don't do. So let me explain myself. If you're finding that you're unable to make videos because you don't have time, ask yourself, who actually has time? When was the last person that you met somebody that said, I've got so much time on my hands, I just don't know what to do with it. I wish I could find some way to fill my time. It never happens. Every single person nowadays is busy in their own context. So you are not actually going to find more time, my friends. 24 hours is what all of us gets. But how is it that some people are able to churn out video content with the same 24 hours that you have? Is it because they really have more time? Sometimes solopreneurs who have no team, who have a family to look after, and who have all sorts of other things going on in their life are still able to find time for video content. So today we want to talk about some of the strategies that they are using so that you can use some of the same and start putting out videos. Let's get right into it. In order to make time to create video content, you need to schedule out specific time slots in your calendar for video research, video shooting, and for video editing. Now, if you're going to outsource any one of these three, that's fantastic. But if you're planning on doing all three by yourself, it has to go in your calendar. Remember that content marketing is one of the foundational aspects of any single business nowadays. How in the world can you get your business out to your audience if nobody knows about it? They will only know if you promote your content, which means you actually do need to put that into your calendar. It is that important. So every single week when you are looking at your calendar for the next week, make sure that you've got time slots for those three areas: the research, the shooting, and the editing. If you want, you can work in batches. I also have another video about how to batch create your video content, so be sure to check that out. That means you will try to do everything in big chunks. Like one day you might sit down to do all of the research. Another day you will sit down to do as much of the shooting as you can. And another day you might sit down to do the editing. If that works for you, that's great. Or if you want to do it one at a time, that's also fine. Try both of these strategies because you will find that one of them works really well for you and the other one makes you feel crazy and makes you feel like you have no time left. So figure out which of these strategies works for you. But the important thing is to have it in your calendar. For me, I like to batch create my work, which means every couple of weeks, I dedicate a full 3 to 4 days towards getting a bunch of videos done. That is in my calendar. It is a non-negotiable. I don't have meetings during that time. I'm not traveling around town during that time. I'm not doing errands. I'm not doing any other type of work. So do your best to get that into your calendar and schedule more time than you think you need. One thing about video is that sometimes it doesn't go as fast as we expected. Once we start researching, we might feel like we need a little bit more time because the points are not that clear. Or once we start shooting, we might notice that we don't have a charger for something, or the wire is missing, or we forgot to plug in our device, or whatever the case is. Sometimes we simply can't get the words out of our mouth and the shooting takes longer. So always budget more time in your calendar than you need, and don't be in a rush when you do it. This is always going to be the first step. The next way to find time to create videos is to have realistic goals around it. Too many of us are too ambitious about things that actually take time. It's great to have ambitious goals, but even better than that is having a realistic goal that you now work towards being more ambitious. So what do I mean by this? If you find that you are not getting time or not finding time to create one single video per week, then telling yourself that you are going to create 7 videos next week is probably overestimating what is actually possible with your present setup. So you can absolutely get to the point where you are creating 7 videos per week or 27 videos per week. That day is going to come. But first, let's get out video number 1. Then let's do video number 2. So this means you need to have a goal that is realistic with the amount of time you have. It is absolutely possible, even with minute increments of time, to create Instagram and Facebook stories. You can create one Instagram or Facebook video story per day. And that means in a week you will have 7 of those. You can do that. Why? because those type of videos only need to be 15 seconds or 30 seconds. You've got 15 or 30 seconds, my friend. I know you do. On the other hand, if you want to shoot one YouTube video per week, you need a little bit more time. You need to be able to find more time in your calendar that you can block off for that research, that shooting, and that editing. So if you are able to block off more time, then yes, one YouTube video per week or even two per week is realistic. So think about the time that you have presently in your calendar. If you only have a couple of minutes here and there in between things, then start with Instagram or Facebook stories and tell yourself, I'm going to create 3 stories this week that are 30 seconds each. Do those 3 stories. Check that off on your list. Congratulate yourself that you did it, because now that means you found time to create 3 videos. And then next week, have a more ambitious goal. Now we're interrupting this video so that I can remind you to subscribe. I think you should do that first. And if you want to get on video sooner rather than later, then I invite you to join me at my next live free webinar, where I'll be going over the 3 simple steps that you can take this week so that you can finally get on video. Be sure to look for it in the description below. And now let's get back to our video. Another thing you can do to find time for your videos is to stop fiddling with your setup. Too many people are starting the entire video process from scratch every single time, and I have no idea why they do this. Now, your recording device might be your smartphone. So of course you need your smartphone all day and all week for other things. You can't just dedicate it for your video. However, what about your tripod? What about your lights? What about all the other things that you have, like maybe your background? Keep everything exactly as it is. Every single time you make a video, don't just pack up everything and put it away, unless you are in an environment where you are required to do that. This is one of the reasons I always recommend that every single person has a little space in their home or in their workspace where they can just create videos. The entire purpose of it is just to create videos. That can be anywhere in your house. It doesn't have to be at your kitchen table, which has a lot of traffic otherwise. Find one corner of your house where you can just set up your lights, set up your tripod, keep everything at the right height and right angle, and then you don't have to move it again. This way you can reduce the amount of time it takes to set up. I remember when I first started creating videos, every single time I would drag out everything from scratch. It would literally take me 30 minutes to do that, because you have to tweak the angle of your lights. You have to readjust the height of your tripod. There is a lot of setup that actually goes into making a video sometimes. So after I do that for 30 minutes, I would lose my mood to make the video, and I would be so fed up and frustrated with the process. And who has that much time? This is another reason why stories are actually really good, because with stories, you can actually just hold your phone right here. You don't need a setup, you don't need a tripod, you don't need anything. Just go stand near a window where there's some light coming in, and then just talk to your phone for 15 seconds and you are done, my friend. You don't have any further setup. So this is a real time waster for a lot of people, dragging all of their equipment around and setting up everything. So find a place that you can keep everything just stationary as it is, so that when you're ready to make the video, you just have to press record. Another way that you can find time to actually make videos is to outsource some of the work. Now, this is something that doesn't feel very feasible at the beginning of your video journey or at the beginning of your business journey, because you might be worried about the expense of outsourcing it. I know that this is a real concern for many people who are working on a tight budget. The thing that I want you to ask yourself is, how much time am I spending to do these activities? And then how much would it cost me to outsource? Sometimes that time is absolutely not worth it. For example, if it takes you 5 hours to edit a video, ask yourself the opportunity cost of that 5 hours. What else could you have been doing with that 5 hours? Is that enough time to take on 1 more coaching client altogether in the week? Or what about 2 more coaching clients for those 5 hours? Think of the income that you could be making with those 5 hours free. If you think that you are actually losing revenue because you've tied up your time with these type of tasks, then the cost of actually outsourcing it to somebody that's affordable and good and can do the work, it's actually considered really worth it. So do a little bit of work and investigate some of these sites like Upwork, for example, or ask a friend for a referral. You can outsource things like your thumbnail production, your posting and your scheduling of your content, the actual editing of your videos. Those are all things that you can outsource. Somebody else can do that just as well as you in a fraction of the time, and that price will be worth it. On the other hand, if you feel like you're not yet ready to outsource, or you're not really sure what that involves, Then the next option is to keep things as simple as possible. If you're going to be doing your own editing, then try not to use the world's most complex software for that. Use a software that makes sense to your brain, that you can use intuitively, that it feels easy. You are not going to be tying up a ton of time with editing in that case. Be happy with simple types of editing, like simple text, simple transitions, a little bit of music, and all of that. Some of the videos that we see on YouTube nowadays that have millions of views, remember there is an entire team of people editing these things. That's why they look so cinematic and have all of these amazing transitions. But if you're a coach or a consultant or a service provider and you just want to put out a simple but very, very compelling message to your audience, remember, they are there for the content. They're not there for all of that extra stuff. So save time by keeping it simple if you feel like outsourcing is not an option right now. And one of the best ways to save time with video is to actually shoot your videos in a single session. So again, this is what we call batch creating. If I had to make one video at a time, I don't know where I would be right now. My entire week would be full of that type of video content. Let's talk about why this actually works. Think about all of the actual work that goes behind sitting in front of the camera to create a full-length video like this YouTube video. It's not just an issue of me pressing record. I have to go find an outfit and iron it. I have to prep my material. I got to make sure that the lighting and everything is good in the room. I have to have a little bit of silence in my home so that it's not loud when I'm shooting. I have to mentally hype myself up. I've got to spend time preparing the actual text of what I'm going to say so that I can deliver it naturally. I have to swipe my lipstick and comb my hair. There is a little bit of work that goes into this even before you press record. Now, imagine if I did that entire thing 10 times in a week just to make 10 videos. This is how we drain time, my friends. So we want to reduce all of that. On the other hand, imagine I did all of that setup and then I just sat down and I shot 10 videos in a row. You might be saying to yourself, Liz, I don't have time to shoot 10 videos in a row. Well, what if they were all 5 minutes each? You could actually sit down and shoot 5 videos in a row. That could be something that you can pump out in maybe an hour. It's 1 hour of your time, and now you are getting out 5 videos which you can slowly drip out to your audience. And you're not doing all of that hard behind the scenes setup behind it. This is why batch content creation actually really works. Not only that, but consider the fact that once you're creating a video, you are now in a certain frame of mind. You are in a certain vibe. Recreating that vibe and that energy again later in the week is not that easy. On the other hand, shooting video 1, which might be a little bit rocky and shaky, and then number 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, you get progressively better when you're doing the same task over and over and over. If you don't do this, and every single time you are starting from scratch, then you are actually task switching a lot, which means your mind is going from one type of an activity to another type, and then finally you are pressing record. So instead of that, consider batch creating your videos, at least a couple at a time. Not only will you feel so relieved that you've got a stock of videos now that you can use, but you will also get more and more into the flow of them as you are recording them, and then this just helps your overall delivery. So if you like this video, I hope that you will give it a like, share it off with one of your friends. Don't forget to subscribe because every single Tuesday, I bring you a new video teaching you how you can add video to your business. So until next time, take care.